here today for Families Matter, St. Lucie Public Schools Parenting Guide. We are excited to be your hosts. My name is Rebecca Benson. I'm a life skills parent educator with Student Services.
Hi again. I'm DeJean Jackson, Family and Community Outreach Administrator on special assignment for St. Lucie Public Schools. The focus of our show today is to discuss how parents can support their child with all things math.
The purpose of Families Matter, St. Lucie Public Schools Parenting Guide, is to give parents and families information about the resources found within our local community. The resources shared could be in the form of people connected to St. Lucie schools, like school counselors, district support personnel, or educators on your child's campus. Or the resources could be found on our St. Lucie Public School website. And it could be in the form of local community agencies that help your child achieve success. You play a pivotal role in the life of your child or children. And as always, our aim is to support you. Today, our purpose is to give you tools and resources to support your family with math.
We have wonderful guests with us today. Please welcome curriculum developers Courtney, Ballantine, and Ciara Trabal.
Yes, welcome.
They are math gurus, and we are so excited to have them. Can you share with us both your role in St. Lucie Public Schools and how you help support children and families with math?
Absolutely, and thank you for having us today. I am the middle grades math curriculum developer. As math curriculum developers in St. Lucie Public Schools, we are responsible for creating comprehensive and quality math curriculum resources and district-wide assessments. Collectively, as a team, we lead professional development for all of our teachers district-wide across our 26 schools, including Math Boot Camp, Summer Summit, and Rise for New Teachers, really to help build that teacher capacity.
Absolutely.
And I'm one of the elementary math curriculum developers. In addition to what Courtney mentioned, we also utilize assessment data to develop strategic action plans to increase student achievement. We support teachers through collaborative lesson planning, classroom observations, and feedback to ensure that teaching best practices are being implemented. We support math coaches and content leads through professional development sessions and individualized school support.
Awesome. So let's start with how students engage and experience math at school. What do math lessons look like at the elementary level, middle school, and high school level?
Well, all of our math courses follow a math routine that is structured around 5 stages of instruction and learning, where students really begin by engaging with math and being able to activate their prior knowledge. Then they're going to receive some explicit teacher instruction that addresses the critical content for the day. This is known as the I do portion of the math routine. Next, students are going to participate collaboratively with their peers and with the teacher to complete guided or modeled practice. This is called the we do or the we do together phase of the math routine. And during this time, the teacher is really monitoring student responses and ensuring that students are processing that critical content.
And once teachers feel that students have an understanding of the math concepts, they are released to complete that independent practice. This is commonly known as the you do portion of the math routine. During this time, teachers pull small groups of students to clear any misconceptions and accelerate learning as needed. Finally, students engage in a wrap-up activity, a task, or a question that allows them to reflect on that critical content for the day. Math lessons include hands-on activities that use manipulatives and technology, where students are engaging with their teacher and peers and actively participating in the learning process.
Those manipulatives, oh my gosh, those were the favorite part of any of my math lessons when I taught kindergarten. The frogs on the log, the snap cubes, they were I mean, I could get my little friends to do anything when it came to math when I brought out those manipulatives. And they're such great tools, and you can use those type of tools at home. If you don't have frogs on a log, little trucks or crayons, dolls, any type of counting manipulative is great.
Those math connections are so amazing, and we have high quality instruction in each and every one of our classes in our schools, in St. Lucie Public Schools, and we have amazing teachers. And so you mentioned the foundational skills as your kindergarten teaching experience shines through once again. We are able to see in different schools what this looks like in a progression. So let's take a look at Bayshore Elementary. In Bayshore Elementary, 3rd grade students explore adding fractions using math tools like manipulatives and slide and drop features on the district website to check their answers. Small group instruction supports the learning efforts for each student. At Forest Grove in MOA, students are justifying their responses, collaborating with classmates, and graphing quadratic equations using tools for instruction. At Samuel Gaines Academy, geometry comes to life as students are able to view in real time the comparison of shapes in quadrants as key vocabulary is identified and understood. And finally, at Fairlawn Elementary School, students solve division problems by identifying how many groups of objects there were. Students are able to see the meaning of division problems rather than memorize facts and figures. As early as kindergarten, as you mentioned, Rebecca, and first grade, students are seeing repeated addition as multiplying numbers come to life, and there's a strong foundation which leads to success in the latter years. And students are able to view the connections between literacy and mathematics instruction. It's not just paper pencil anymore.
No.
There has to be a solid understanding of those math concepts.
Which helps all learners learn. And my own kindergartner at home, he asks me all the time, what's 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2? And really keeps me on my toes because he's already, like you said, kind of looking forward to that repeated addition, which leads to multiplication. So
Yes.
yeah, he's on his way thanks to the great instruction he's receiving in St. Lucie Public Schools.
Yes.
So what resources do St. Lucie Public Schools offer to students with math instruction if they find themselves needing a little bit more support?
If students need additional support, there are a variety of resources that teachers can provide to students and families. Teachers use data from day-to-day lessons to determine the best resource to provide based on that student need. And some schools have math interventionists or tutors to fill gaps in learning.
Yeah, and additionally, students have access to iReady for grades K through 5 and iExcel for grades 6 through 12. And these platforms really assess student-specific needs and help develop an individualized pathway that will strengthen those foundational math skills so that students can access their grade level content. In addition, for students in K2, the state does provide a math at home plan for students who exhibit any deficiencies in math. This plan provides parents with detailed information on how they can support their student at home. And this information can be found on the FLDOE website.
That's amazing because, you know, back in my day, learning math, way back when the dinosaurs roamed, I had my math book, and that was pretty much the only resource. But now there are so many digital resources that families can access.
I love the iReady lessons at home that my son can access because they're quick, and he gets a great boost of confidence because they're very interactive, play-based, game-based, and so it's a great way for him to practice those math skills at home to connect that home to school learning. So I love iReady.
Yes. So families, you can access the wide array of digital resources found on our St. Lucie Public Schools website under the Parent and Student tab. If you scroll down, you will see learning resources divided into elementary, middle and K-8, and high school. Within these resources, it was mentioned that iReady is there, iExcel, and Savvis Learning, and so you don't have to rely on the textbook in the book bag anymore.
So are there extra opportunities for students who excel in math, and if so, what are they?
For students who excel in math, there is a district-wide acceleration plan. Students have the opportunity to be placed in AMP, which is the Accelerated Math Program or Math Pathway, as early as 3rd grade based on student data and teacher observation and recommendation. Similarly, students in middle grades have opportunities to take accelerated math courses based on data. In addition to AMP and accelerated courses, teachers provide enrichment activities during small group instruction for those who excel in the daily instruction.
I love that there's something for everyone. Sometimes it takes a little bit more for students to be able to connect, and then sometimes students get it right away. And so when you see that light bulb moment happen, we need to be able to capitalize on it. When starting these accelerated classes in elementary school, students are set up for future success in middle and high school as they will have more access to a variety of classes and hopefully obtain scholarships as they become more college and career ready. When students are enrolling in accelerated courses, it not only sets them up for future success, but it also is a cost-saving measure, because I know that when my child goes off to or went off to school, I'm like paying out of pocket. That's a lot. So if they're taking the classes early enough, they can not have to pay that when they get to college. So as students are progressing, it is a win-win for everyone.
Absolutely.
So we know that there are many measures of mastery when it comes to both math and reading. What do math assessments look like? And what tips do you have for families as the students prepare to take these tests?
Yes, well, when it comes to state assessments, they are computer-based adaptive tests that measure a student's understanding of grade level benchmarks. This means that the questions are going to get easier or harder depending on how the student is answering the questions. If they're answering them correctly, then it's going to get more challenging as they progress through. They're always going to test grade level standards. They're just going to, again, get a little more difficult the better that they're doing. There are some specific reporting categories such as algebraic reasoning, number sense, and geometric reasoning, where students will be presented with a percentage of questions that assess those specific concepts. As students prepare for these assessments, we would definitely recommend that students in grades 3 and up that they take the practice test that's available on the Florida Statewide Assessments portal so that they can practice the different item types. So not for content related practice, but definitely so they can interact and understand how to respond to the questions appropriately with their technology. They also need to know how to use the built-in calculator, the built-in reference sheet, and any additional tools that are available to them. In courses 6 through geometry, using the supplemental resources that we mentioned, such as IXL's fast skill plans, as well as their individualized pathway, are definitely great at-home resources that students can use to access and practice their grade-specific content.
Yeah, and I know that when I was taking tests back in the day, it was paper pencil, not anymore. That drag and drop feature, using the tools for instruction, it takes practice. So you want to make sure that that practice definitely happens. And I know that we had an amazing show on Families Matter where it went over how to read the reports, to be able to interpret those score reports as we're going over progress monitoring 1, 2, and 3, and as our students are mastering these scores. So if you want more information on how to read and interpret these score reports, please refer to our previous episode on Families Matter, preparing for testing season on WLX Horizon and our St. Lucie Public Schools website. And Courtney, are there any other things that people need to take a look at when interpreting scores or anything with statewide assessments? I'm sorry, Ciara.
Well, it's also important to know, in addition to the statewide assessments, students in grades 2 through geometry take district tests. These tests typically cover 1 to 2 units of study and are normally no more than 15 questions. The questions allow for teachers to gain an understanding of students' progression towards mastery of the benchmarks within those applicable units. The questions also mimic the item types that they'll be exposed to in statewide assessments. In grades K and 1, teachers may provide topic tests or formative assessments based on the units of study. To prepare students to take these tests, parents can encourage students to complete their pathways in iReady and engage in activities at home to reinforce that learning.
Awesome. And so we touched a little bit about this on how parents and families can support their children's learning at home. What are some additional resources and tips you have for families?
When parents access St. Lucie County's website, they are able to see curriculum resources such as Scope and Sequence, which shows the progression of benchmarks and units for each grade level. Reaching out to students' school sites is also a great way to learn exactly what concepts are being focused on so that parents know how to best support. Additionally, engaging in everyday activities at home will help build students' problem-solving skills. Parents and families can ask students about what concepts they're learning at school and lead discussions on connections they notice between what tasks and activities are done in the home and how they relate to what they learned in school.
I don't know about you, but when my kids would come home from school and I would say, "What'd you learn in school today?" Nothing, right? But instead of that, maybe asking a question or making a connection to things that are happening at home or on the way to shopping or cooking and baking. These are additional activities that can reinforce those math concepts, such as in cooking and baking, when you're measuring ingredients, calculating quantities, discussing fractions. If you're saying, get me a half a cup of milk, they have to go to the measuring tool to get that half a cup and bring it. Or when you're getting ready to make that fabulous pie or cake that you're doing and you're buying things while shopping, you can compare prices, calculate those discounts, estimate totals. You might say, hey, I only have $20, don't go over it. That might be very helpful for them. In time management, discussing schedules, planning trips, calculating travel time. So as you're getting ready for spring break or maybe the summer, that really makes it meaningful, right? Or if you are building something and you have those construction projects going on, DIY, measuring materials, calculating areas, discussing geometry, that's amazing. Board and card games where you're playing games that involve counting, strategy, problem solving, or creating even your own custom game with card games might be beneficial. And I know that I've heard you mention building blocks. That might be a favorite of your kids. So exploring shapes, patterns, and all of that will help with that spatial relationship.
And what I love about everything you just mentioned is that it's all play-based. Children really don't know that they're learning, but they're practicing such great real-world math skills at home. And so when they go to school, they've done all that practice, so it makes them feel more confident and ready for those math lessons. So we've discussed many ways students receive math support, but how do St. Lucie Public School teachers receive support when it comes to math instruction?
Hey, wow. Well, we really provide a variety of professional learning opportunities that we design and lead throughout the whole year for all of our teachers. These revolve around our math content, engagement activities, and instructional practices. We also go to schools to provide individualized or small group support on instructional practices and the planning and modeling of lessons and strategies that can definitely help to enhance the instruction and improve student learning outcomes. A focus of ours this year has really been around the CRA model, which is the concrete, representational, and abstract model. This is an instructional framework for teaching math that moves students fluidly through 3 different stages. So they start with working with manipulatives and physical objects. Then they are going to represent those same concepts with pictures, models, diagrams, and then they're going to represent them with number symbols and operations. This approach really helps students build a deep understanding of math concepts by connecting hands-on experience with symbolic math instead of just memorizing a traditional algorithm.
And I know that recently teachers just participated in a math boot camp so they could get with colleagues and be able to understand what instruction looks like. You know, there's nothing like being with your colleague and trying it out before you get in front of kids. It doesn't matter what age, if they're 5 years old or 18 years old. You never want to look like you're making that mistake. So both the boot camp really reinforces skills that are there. So if we had a chance to kind of peek into a boot camp, what are some of the things that we see? Well, fortunately, we were able to be that fly on the wall. And as I visited the boot camp, both in the elementary boot camp session and in the secondary setting, all teachers were using the tools for instruction, such as the standards, the teacher editions, the Big M, which is that roadmap for instruction, and manipulatives. And they were getting support from colleagues and master teachers. And one thing that stood out for me was the focus on the math connections, the critical vocabulary, and the use of manipulatives.
We can't forget those.
No. Teachers were actually experiencing the learning, hearing others' perspectives, and planning instructions for those what-if moments. Rebecca, what stood out for you?
Well, in the secondary professional learning room, the teachers had out the standards, the scales for instruction, and the graphic organizers related to that key vocabulary. Teachers had a chance to identify what had been explicitly taught over the years versus what had to be explained. And teachers were using resources that the Florida Department of Education provides to all students, teachers, and families to improve their understanding of those tools. Specific terminology, highlighted critical content, and data analysis tools were honed in on to deepen the teacher's knowledge. It was a lot was going on. As you plan those boot camps, ladies, for the instructors, what strategies do you use to cover all grade levels, all schools? I think, how many schools again do we have, Deshawn?
Like 40
I know, we have all schools, all teachers.
From
right.
K through 12.
Right.
Yes.
So that we're including all of them.
So all of our boot camps focus on enhancing math instruction in the classroom by increasing the understanding of benchmarks and supporting students' ability to understand and access concepts. We focus on the CRA model and having teachers experience the progression of this strategy. We emphasize academic language and present strategies on how teachers can implement this into instruction in engaging ways such as games and interactive activities. In addition, we have a focus on utilizing manipulatives so that teachers understand how to use them to support student thinking and build conceptual understanding.
Now, we know literacy has a huge connection with all learning, but how does reading connect with these math skills that we've talked about today?
There is a cross-curricular connection that spans literacy, math, and other subject areas. Many of the math benchmarks have an emphasis on real-world application, problem solving, and critical thinking. In math, students are expected to comprehend word problems and solve them based on the context of those problems. In all courses, students engage in content that helps develop the relationship between fluency and application in problem-solving situations. In many grades levels, students are also expected to read tables, diagrams, and many other text features that are addressed in literacy benchmarks as well.
Yes, and science has a connection to math as well.
Absolutely.
In addition to the literacy connection, science and math really go hand in hand. As students gather data, they may graph the outcome of experiments or show some growth over time. And math visuals are a natural way to have students demonstrate their understanding.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And technology plays a huge part in math. Not only is technology used to be able to show that understanding, there's also that assessment piece. So how does technology support students' math understanding and their skill level?
Technology really has a major influence on how we interact in the world. So utilizing it in the classroom really allows students to engage in the content in a way that's more relatable to them. It supports student thinking, it supports their creativity. Technology allows for more varied interactions with concepts where they can have multiple representations and a variety of question types and responses.
Well, you have just shared so many great resources today on math and beyond for our students and our teachers, and we're just so thankful for having both of you here. Thank you again so much for sharing all of your wonderful knowledge on math.
Yes.
Yes.
Families, we have gone over a ton in today's show. We hope that you feel more prepared to support your child with their math homework and assignments, and if you find yourself in need of more help, please reach out. Our aim is to be the guide on the side for the many resources found in our community. Once again, Rebecca, as you mentioned, we had a great show. We want to say a very special thank you to our experts, Courtney and Ciara. And if you have missed any of our shows, please tune in to WLX Horizon to watch it, catch up, and feel connected. Check out St. Lucie Public Schools' social media outlets for our next show. Next month, we are dedicating our show to fiddlers, FDLRS. Let's find out what those letters mean.
Let's find out.
It's going to be a great show. Remember, all families matter in St. Lucie Public Schools.